Well, what's going on, guys? 11:42 West Coast time in the morning. It's the 24th of October, 2023 for a Tuesday. We got, I'm a little confused. Oh, yeah, we were down to Rosamond, California. Okay, I know that one. There was an interview that I missed a long time ago with the Queen of Jordan. And she was making some sense that kind of echoed in some of my other videos that I made. I know the rest of them still got to get edited and shoved out there anyway. I mean, everything else is under the WIN file or capture. But she was talking about the world's condemnation for Hamas going manic like crazy against Israel and kidnapping, murdering, a lot of things that's being claimed and also being proven one way or another. Sometimes social media has a way of picking up the gruesome pictures, but other platforms are not showing them. So they're being told. And some of them being warned with fade outs, as well as they should. If it can be proven that Hamas is doing the actual dirty deeds, capturing on film, you know. But what was never said was the reasons why. Why the buildup? Why the attack? Unless they're going to be discrediting Israel at every point that they certainly can. Hiding among the population, and as Israel retaliates, as they expected them to do, with a heinous attack, well, Israel was going to carpet bomb, basically, or try to selective bomb, but it's still carpet bomb anyway. Taking out missiles as much as they can, and then threatening to send the troops in. Meanwhile, the Palestinians get to suffer like crazy. Despite the minuscule effort of the relief, as much as they're trying, being held up by government politics. And not from Israel, but from Egypt. We see the people being decimated left and right. Israel doesn't want it, but they want to go after Hamas. They want to torture and punish Hamas. But basically, the people are getting punished left and right because the thing is, I never seen the public do in. I never seen the public go after Hamas. Why weren't they rising up and going after them? Unless it was so situated and insinuated in the Palestinian people in Gaza that you'll have to wipe out the entire population of Gaza just to get to the Hamas. If they're that in there, unfortunately it is genocide. And that was being counted upon. And the whole world, weird as it is, agreed with Israel to go after people. And the relief organizations are struggling their best trying to get stuff in there, but they're having issues at the borders. Egypt, one of them. Haven't seen anything from Jordan yet. But if Jordan was actually allowing the international community of Red Cross getting in there to bring supplies through there, would that be allowed? And then again, they would have to travel across Israel to get to Gaza City. And the direct way to get to Gaza City is directly through Egypt, and they don't want Hamas there. Any version of them. Or basically, they're trying to say, so many Palestinians, you can't tell between a terrorist and a refugee. The same could be said regarding World War II when we actually had German soldiers infiltrating the public one way or another. And unless there was a slip up somewhere, you would have never could tell which one was the Nazi and which one was anybody else. German soldiers wore the uniform, but the Nazis, well, they blended. We've had hunters through decades looking for Nazi collaborators, putting them through the justice system. How do you deal with Hamas in this situation? With so much that Israel had inflicted upon the people of Palestine for so long, for so much. It's no wonder every generation has become more and more intensive with a hatred against Israel. And Hamas is exploiting that to the max, as well as other countries that don't want stability in the Middle East. They want to keep up their own factions and actions against the Western civilizations. Apparently, my observation of it all may be inaccurate, may be incorrect, and I'll say that for the record. No civilization and no people are perfect at this point. I know. That's been used too many damn times as it is. It's how do you address the Hamas issue when they did their acts a few weeks ago and they had kidnapped people? What they've done right now is to try to gather more support for themselves as they released two more hostages, elderly ladies, out out of Gaza into the hands of the Israelis, and for a couple of weeks they're going to be going through testing and interrogation before they're released. Israel has to have everything they can. They have to know everything about the terrorists at this point. I had made a video around, a long time ago, wondering if they're terrorists or if they're freedom fighters. And it's probably going to be, I probably will be asked one way or another, where does my allegiance lie? Humanity, damn it. Humanity, if there is such a thing. Because it was bullshit regarding what had happened a long time ago, but I just, oh, God. I'm having an issue over this shit. Hang on. CNN.
What is his level of concern right now about potential rise of anti-Semitism in light of everything that's going on in Israel? So a couple of things. Look, we have not seen any credible threats. I know there's been always questions about credible threats, and so just want to make sure that that's out there. But look, Muslim and those perceived to be Muslim have endured a disproportionate number of hate-fueled attacks. And certainly President Biden understands that many of our Muslim, Arab Americans and Palestinian American loved ones and neighbors are worried about the hate being directed at their communities. So here at home, we heard criticism of that moment from both sides of the aisle. Democrat Jared Moskowitz called her answer weak. He said must do better. And moments ago, Jean-Pierre said this. When Jews are targeted because of their beliefs or their identity, when Israel is singled out because of anti-Jewish hatred, that is anti-Semitism. And that is unacceptable. There's no place for anti-Semitism, full stop, period. This is important to the president. It's important to me personally and to everyone in the administration. Let's talk now with Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz of Florida. Congresswoman, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today. The White House press secretary clearly felt compelled to address this, to clean this up right at the top of the briefing before she was even asked questions about it. What did you think of Jean-Pierre's statement yesterday, and what did you think about what you heard today?
Well, Brianna, I think it's best put in softball terms that I know you and I can understand, and that is that what Karine said at the podium yesterday was clearly a whiff. But we have to make sure that in this entire context and in this entire crisis that we major in the majors. It's very clear that President Biden could not possibly be standing more strongly with Israel. Our Homeland Security Department issued a warning just this week about the precipitous rise and risk anti-Semitic attacks. We have seen in the last number of years massive increases in anti-Semitic incidents, including in my own hometown. Um, in short, anti-Semitism is real, it's alive, and the Biden administration, President Biden himself, recognized this by releasing the first ever national strategy to combat anti-Semitism. No other president has ever done that. It's comprehensive, it's all of government, and it's very clear where President Biden and his administration stands in the fight against anti-Semitism and what it is and its impact. And that's what's important here.
You were on the ground in Israel in the direct aftermath of the attacks on October 7th, and now there are talks about perhaps a release of a large number of hostages. How hopeful are you that that could actually happen?
Oh, I mean, hopeful. And it's imperative that we make sure that a white-hot spotlight is shown on the plight of these hostages. It is absolutely critical that we get them released and brought home to their families. When I was in Israel, I had an opportunity to meet with Noam Perry, who I met with again today, and I mean, torn up is an understatement. This is a woman that we both wish we never had an opportunity to meet. Under these circumstances, her father is still captive. She got proof of life, thank God, when the release of the older elderly woman yesterday, they were being held captive with people from that kibbutz. And so there are signs of hope, but we have to make sure that we both make sure that Hamas can be eradicated, and we support Israel in that endeavor, and at the same time that we press comprehensively for the release of these hostages. Both things can be done simultaneously.
We're watching this humanitarian crisis in Gaza unfold. Israel initially said it didn't want to let fuel in because Hamas would seize it, then clarified that they will make sure fuel is in place in areas where it's needed to treat civilians. Hospitals, we're hearing this, they're on the verge of disaster, of losing power for ventilators, for things like incubators, for vulnerable newborns. What can the U.S. do on this that it is not doing?
Well, let's be very clear that the Hamas terrorists are embedding themselves, and always embed themselves, in and among the civilians in Gaza. And further, what they've done is they have prevented evacuation to safety of their fellow Palestinian citizens. And so they are keeping them in harm's way and not allowing them to heed Israel's warnings about their efforts to eradicate terrorists. We do have to make sure that, obviously, Israel, in its effort, abides by the laws of war and the rules around war, making sure we protect Palestinian and Israeli civilian lives is important, imperative, but let's be clear. This was a massive terrorist attack that took more lives, the most lives on any single day since the Holocaust. Hamas doesn't abide by the rules of law or the laws of war. They murder and maim and rape innocent Israelis. And the reason for their existence is to kill Jews and eradicate the state of Israel. So we're not playing a fair fight here.
Yeah, look, I'm not disputing that.
I know you're not.
We are hearing from people in Gaza, including Americans who are stuck, and the situation is terrible. You're hearing that, you know that.
I am.
So what can the U.S. do? Because some of these folks survive if they get the help they need, but some of them will not if they do not get the help they need soon.
Humanitarian assistance needs to be allowed in. We also need to be ensured that humanitarian assistance doesn't get diverted to Hamas. Gaza needs to be freed from Hamas. That's the freedom that is essential right now. And eradicating the Hamas terrorists, ensuring, and what the United States can do, is work with not only our allies, but alongside Israel as an ally, and with countries like Qatar and others to negotiate for the release of those hostages, ensure that happens immediately, make sure that we can get as much aid safely and to the right people to protect Palestinians. And look, at the end of the day, though, this is a that was started by Hamas terrorists who are continuing to be hell-bent on eradicating Israel and killing Jews. And that cannot be allowed to happen for one more minute.
Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
Well, you heard about that one. What I was doing was shaking my head on this one because people keep forgetting history. In my own lifetime, or actually a couple of decades, maybe earlier than that, we had seen this situation happening in the fight to combat the Red Scare, the communist spread. We had tried to ally ourselves with other countries. We heard about, North Korea, and then we had a situation with them. But the problem is, we had the communists take over, or tried to take over, and we have an armistice in Korea, 38th Barrel, North versus South. They got their own version of communism over there. They got a leader over there who's been controlling the place like crazy. But also during those days, there was also colonization happening. If I remembered one particular screwy professor back in college who was trying to explain a little history about it. Maybe his point of view, maybe it's still verifiable, but it's something. That Vietnam wanted its own country to be run by its own way, but had a lot of colonialism happening. People thought they knew better, wanted to run it better. And what happens? As soon as the French left, well, Americans had to get in there, didn't we? We were trying to stop the communist. Part of the country of Vietnam wanted to be split off and have it just democratic. If I'm understanding what I remembered. And I may be at fault, but this is what I remembered. And the other part wanted communism. Their own version of it. Their own leader. We had spent a long time in Vietnam with a lot of body count. And it didn't do any good. Country still reverted to communism, as most of them wanted, except for the southern portions of Vietnam. And they wanted to get the hell out of there. To put it short and sweet. No, not sweet. Just short. We heard about the boat people in the 70s and 80s. How they didn't like the regime happening during the time they left. We hardly ever hear about any boat peoples these days except coming from Cuba. Cuba had their own little revolution happening with a military strongman and his guerrillas, and the country has never been, the island nation has never been the same since. Not for decades. And we almost had a ground incursion by U.S. forces, not led, but by. We almost. But we had trained Cubans, Cuban refugees, to be freedom fighters for their own nation. We trained them, armed them, sent them out, and they got destroyed. Bay Pigs. All on a newly elected president's watch. Excuse me. But what got to me, not because of the Red Scare, it was the tactics that were used in Vietnam and in Afghanistan and Iraq that really got to me, that people right now keep forgetting. Guerrilla warfare. We had movies and books about this damn thing for decades. We talked about it in fictional terms, and we thought, okay, well, ain't going to happen to us. I mean, we've been through it, but we're Americans, we're this, we're that. We got this damn idea going through our heads, this manifest destiny insanity going on. Well, we keep forgetting is when people try to fight for guerrilla in a guerrilla warfare, we keep forgetting what tactics are used. Even in Revolutionary War, we used the same war. We used the same tactics. We used the territory of our land and how we were dressed and what we were dressed as to maintain and hold certain territories. We had used guerrilla warfare tactics, and this was already used by other cultures. Lay of the land, their own outfits, maybe marked as such or maybe not. But you couldn't tell one person from the other person if they were a freedom fighter or a terrorist. What they're afraid of. That's what they're afraid of Hamas as being right now. Is they're insulated. They're insulated. They're insinuated. They are integrated. Whatever kind of word you're going to be using for this one. They are part of the Palestinians. There is no way to tell who's Hamas and who's not, unless they're wearing something of a signature nature that can be recognized. But then again, here's the willingness of the people. Are they willing to suffer this much stress? Or are they going to rise up? And right now, it's going to get worse and worse. With the war continuing on Gaza, and more of the U.S. is getting involved because we still have skin in the game. We got people out there, and we've got death. So yeah, we'd like to call a ceasefire. We'd like for Israel to call a ceasefire, but they're not going to. Eye for an eye. In the Old Testament. That's the thing that drives them. They think that Hamas will win, and maybe they are. Win in court of the public appeal. Israel wants to keep showing that they are a strong nation. Well, they are a strong nation, but in strength, it's not just necessarily for military. It's humanity, compassion, and humility. Yes, they did terrible things happened to Israeli people and to others. I suppose I'm trying to think in a Christian way, but I haven't thought of the Jewish way, of the old teachings. But the New Testament kind of changed all that by saying that eye for an eye makes the whole world blind. And you really can't be a follower of Christ if you're following the old ways. There's no wonder Jesus had an issue with the Pharisees. He also had a problem with the teachers. Because he couldn't deal with it. I guess neither had God. If you're going to have a bully beat you, then you got to have the sufficient force to beat the shit out of him to make sure that he's not going to beat up on anybody else. And that's Israel right now. Despite the fact there is collateral damage all over. And the bully's still using people as shields, and unfortunately the people in shields can't get the hell out of there. If they could, they would, but they can't, so there's not much they can do right now. What can be done? I don't know. Israel has blood, and they want more blood, just so they can be satisfied about it. Pride and ego has a way of blinding people left and right. Even Jesus knew this one. But unfortunately, there's a lot of Christians out there who still want eye for an eye. They want it because they don't want to seem weak. Jesus was weak to a lot of people. He had a lot of humanity and compassion. He understood a few things that people keep forgetting left and right. As much as I tried to learn about the guy and just reading about the book, and that's supposed to help us out a bit, but it's usually the reactions of others that of his teachings would be shown to us in the works. Unfortunately, we haven't had that much. We've had hostages being released, trying to call off the strikes as much as possible. It would have been nice to get the the aid going across the borders to help the Palestinians survive the wrath and ire of the Israelis. And the problem is this is going to continue on for decades, because it's already been continuing for decades. And the tragedy thing here, they won't have peace. Neither side will have peace. Neither side wants peace. If Hamas is the actual physical voice of the Palestinians, apparently the Palestinians haven't, it's not dying enough. It's finding out who's Hamas and bringing them out and forcing them out of Gaza. If Hamas is going to be hiding in the tunnels, unfortunately where the people are, there's no other choice. There should be other choices involved in the situation. But what would be the correct choice in action at this point? Israel says it's ready for an incursion and they're just waiting for something. And right now, we just have no idea what the hell's going to happen next. The rest of the world is watching it and waiting to see if we are going to get into a major World War III situation. We already got the situation going with Ukraine. And now we got Israel to deal with. We already got enough, a major one, two major ones. One was Iraq and one was Afghanistan because of the 9/11 attack. That happened a few decades ago. This is inflamed the Middle East. For a few of them still with Israel fine, but for the rest of them, they want to kill them. They want to wipe them out. And the United States as well. It's like, what the hell are we going to do now? And quite honestly, I don't have any answers. I wish I had. But there are no answers. Except maybe just to cool our heels, so to speak. I don't know what the hell we're going to do. Because apparently people are having issues of acknowledging the fact we've already gone over the precipice and we have no way of clutching onto a ledge. We are falling fast into this damn abyss of war. We have no golden parachutes. We have no rocket packs. We got nothing to cushion us from the damn fall that's going to happen. If there was a bloody miracle, we missed it a long time ago. If there was an actual miracle from God, we sure as hell are ignoring the damn thing. And what gets to me is I have to be negative about this whole damn situation. I'm thinking we are in so much deep guano, it's not even funny. So what are we supposed to do about it? What are we supposed to do? We can try to keep shoving aid into the situation, but people don't trust each other enough to get the aid where it should be going. But we need to make sure that Hamas is not going to get it. Well, unfortunately, Hamas is going to get it, one way or another. Because at this point, if the Palestinian people are not sick and tired of being sick and tired of being sick and tired and getting pissed off at the Hamas, why aren't they doing something about it? They're too damn tired, too damn scared, and they think someone else is going to be solving their problems. The guy keeps thinking the United Nations are not going to help him out as much. Either is the Arab world, if they're still thinking that Palestine should be wiped off the face of the earth, when everyone else kept thinking that Israel should be doing it. Actually, either wiping out the Gazans, if I can call them that, or Palestinians. And I know there's other Arab countries out there that wants to wipe out the whole landscape. Save the Palestinians as much as problem, but just wipe out everybody. Is that going to help? I don't know. Right now, there's got to be some kind of humanity in these people on both sides. If they get a person with a white flag coming out, if they can get, but we've got reporters in there trying to get as much as they can, and the Israelis know it. But Israelis said, well, the Hamas is still part of your problem there. Well, we got to get them out of there, but we don't know who's Hamas. So how are you supposed to help us out on this one here? We're going to be blasting your neighborhoods, the beasts, if they're not already in shambles right now as it is. And then remember, and they'll keep saying it, remember, Hamas struck at us. What are we supposed to do about it? They killed and murdered and kidnapped. And you guys did nothing. And that's the viewpoint. That's the viewpoint driving people nuts. If Palestinians have really gotten sick and tired of all this damn shit, why haven't they organized in the groups to find out who is Hamas and get rid of them? Shove them to the damn border walls and say, here you go. Have an army of Palestinians with Hamas in the front, being pushed and shoved. And as soon as Hamas gets close to the damn border walls, Palestinians move back and yell and scream at the Israelis, these are part of the guys you're looking for. Use them. Don't kill them. Maybe they can help us out. We're getting sick and tired of sick and tired. Maybe we should do the job for you without you trying to bomb everything to hell in a handbasket. And unfortunately, that's not happening. That's not happening. They have to wake up and they have to realize they got to do this shit by themselves. They want to get the aid, they want to get the Israelis off their back, they have to do this shit by themselves. But you got to give them a chance to get some aid, get strengthened up so they can do the damn job. And find out where the hell Hamas is at, and just, they got to deal with them. Problem is, Hamas has got the weapons. Palestinians are getting older and sicker at this time, more decrepit. And pretty shortly, there may not be enough Palestinians out there to call themselves a people. And Hamas will still be hiding like tunnel rats. We've seen it in Vietnam. We've seen it in Iraq. We've also seen it in Afghanistan. It has to be up to the people of that terrible area to declare they had enough and get involved. Otherwise, they're dead. And then Israel still gets the blame at this point over here, even though they got their asses kicked left and right and mutilated and everything else happening to them at this point. Well, what can be done? Palestinians have to do what the Israelis can't do. Weed these assholes out, find the hostages, and get them the hell out of there. Maybe in one way they can get a representative out there to plead their case to the United Nations. I only want to be left alone, damn it. I am sympathetic to the Palestinians who are getting their asses kicked. I'm not sympathetic to an asshole who's hiding behind people's skirts because he's an asshole. And Hamas are assholes. But it's going to be up to the Palestinians to decide this one as well. They have to get involved. Otherwise, what the hell are we doing, guys? What the hell are we doing?